My name is Ruckus. Thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and share. 10-8. What's going on, everybody? It's been a busy morning. I've been watching some of these other creators. A lot of good stuff going on. Let me say hello to everybody. I'll show my mug tonight. I'm going on live with Marv later, and there'll be Frank Meister and Kristen behind the crime door, I believe. But we'll be doing that at a later time tonight. For right now, I just wanted to go over a few things. Blue-Eyed Trucker, what's going on, my friend? SP74, how are you? CJK. Olivia 2, how are you, dear? Gambies, welcome aboard. Get ready to get your ass whooped in some fantasy football this year. Jari, how are you? All right, let's see what else we got. I seen that Nana73, how are you? Seen that Farmer checked in, then he had to split. So that's fine. We'll catch you on the flip side, on the replay, I guess. Now, today's filing, well, it wasn't even filing. It was an order set by the judge. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have some veins popping out of their head right now. I'm positive of it. I can almost feel it. Jill, how are you? Rescue all the dogs. What's going on? Drive safe. Rescue and Frank Meister are going to pick up some transcripts today, I believe in Allen County, so that'll be good to get that stuff out. But Judge Gull's ruling today, I'm sure that most of us are not surprised, but some people are. Some people are upset. Some people were ready for it, but they're still not happy about it. But what are you going to do? She's the boss. She makes the rulings. Now, she said no. They can't bring in this Odinist third-party shit. They can't bring in Brad Holder and his crew, Ron Logan, Keegan Kline. They have to show a nexus, and they just haven't done that yet. Now, she's going to allow them in the courtroom without the jury present if they have some evidence to provide a nexus to try and get to that. And, the jury won't be in there, and they'll try their best, but honestly, what do they have now? Anything, if they stray even one syllable off of that 146-page memo in support of a Frank's motion, they're fucked. She's not going to have it. She'll shut them right down. Suck them right down. Got to watch it. She'll shut them down. As soon as they put that out, they were kind of glued to that. Now, as far as they mentioned Ron Logan and Keegan Kline recently, that's their only option. But I think we all know where that's going to get them. If Keegan Kline did catfish the girls there, he's involved with this unknowingly. Okay, I haven't seen any nexus that connects Keegan Kline to Richard Allen or Ron Logan to Richard Allen. Haven't seen any of that. Hey, Grown Crazy, how are you? So they've just 2 years worth of preparation has just gone down the tubes in one fell swoop. Judge Gull has just shut that down. And we all have to agree that they really haven't, outside of speculation, and to me, that 146-page memo in support of the Franks motion was fantasy. I mean, they were acting like they had a crystal ball. The geofence not being allowed. I don't know the whole thing about, because people call geofences different things. Now, is that using GPS? What type of system are they using? That Cellubrite is coming into play again. So that's going to have an impact on it. But as far as the geofencing goes, I think that, hey, Brandon, I think that basically, hey, Ryan, I think that the state initially geofenced too small of an area. Well, then they expanded it to include the CPS building. So that may create an issue. And the defense may have done some geofencing on their own or had experts look at it. But we'll see. We'll see what they mean by geofencing. What's up, Big Mateo? Audrey, how are you? Jinx, I went right by you. I apologize. How are you, sweetheart? Alley Cat, how are you doing? Now, just because, I mean, everybody knows that I've been saying that he should plead out from way back, and I still believe that he's going to do that. But now I've switched from he should to he better, because they really don't have anything to go with. And some will say, well, why? Why would he do that? Why not roll the dice and have a trial and take a chance at it? Well, he doesn't want all this shit out. That's obvious. That's quite obvious. He's confessing to people. Hey, Shane. Hello, D. Hello, Silas. He doesn't want all these details out. Hey, TJ. And his attorneys really can't do anything to stop it. They're going to try and deflect, try and get people looking the other way. Grown crazy. How are you? But it's just not working. What they should have been preparing for the whole time was to just defend their client against whatever the state throws at them. It's not rocket scientry. The state says he did this, prove he didn't. The state says he was there, prove he wasn't. That's basically, when you boil it all down, that's their job. But in order to protect their client, I mean, they're going above and beyond. They're sticking their necks way out on this one. H. Nixon, how are you? And they've kind of set in stone the way they're going to go with it. Pitbull Mom, how are you? We all know, I mean, that 146-page memo laid it all out very eloquently. I mean, they were acting like they were there watching it. Joe Newman, how are you? Alley Cat, I don't know if I missed you or Silas. I apologize if I did. Karen G, hello. Jim Minshaw, hello. Phil Bond, behave, okay, babe? But what happens at the trial, right? Now they're not ready now. Obviously, they've had to hold their breath to see what the judge was going to do. Now she is allowing the confessions. She's not allowing this third-party bullshit without a nexus, which is more than fair. I mean, this is a trial for a man's life and also a trial for the victims, these two victims, to get them justice and their families. So it's all got to be above board. We can't do all this stuff that the defense is trying to do. I don't blame them for it. Good for them. I think that they've done a fantastic job with very little. But she's now handcuffed them from that bullshit. She's not going to allow them to, oh, they're upset. Yeah, I can imagine, Shane. The veins in their foreheads must be popping out. I mean, the conspiracy theorists are just going to go crazy. And of course, they're going to say law enforcement's corrupt and all this, that, and the other thing. Ellie made some mistakes, yes, but they totally redeemed themselves. They got the right guy. Took way longer than it should have, but they got him. They got the right guy. Now, here's the thing: if the defense team wants to bring up this third party, somebody else did it, they're going to have to provide a nexus for that outside of the jury hearing it or seeing it. So she'll take the jury out and they'll try and provide their nexus, and then they'll bring the jury back in. She'll decide whether or not they can use it. What up, Frank? So the jury could get confused by that. Because if they do that over and over and over again, well, then the jury's going to say, what the hell's going on? What are we missing? What are they talking about that we don't know about? And so that's something that the defense can use in their favor. And they can also, any of you that watch the Karen Reed trial, or any other trial that's been like this, during cross-examination, they're going to say shit they're not supposed to say, and they know it. They know it for a fact. And the judge, if it gets objected, the judge sustains it and strikes it. The jury still heard it. And they've got to be coy about it, because otherwise she'll jam them up. But yeah, be careful riding shotgun there, Frank. I know how you feel. I'm always riding shotgun with Steve. Gail Hurd, thank you for the gifted membership. You rock. And Steve delivered your package to me, and it's fantastic. I'm going to put a picture of that little figurine that you sent. It looks just like me. My wife even said that. I got to put a little silver goatee on it, but it looks just like me. Can't charge someone with murder if there's no evidence against them. All the evidence pointed to RA. Absolutely. And we are going to see, Ziggy, how are you? We're going to see, hopefully, what the state has. And if the state presents the case, this is all going to boil down to now how well Nick presents this case. Okay. If he hammers them, all the smoke and mirrors and bullshit and deflection that they throw is not going to matter. A reasonable person on the jury is going to see through that. At this point in the history of this country, our laws have gotten to the point where people expect these theatrics and smoke and mirrors and sleight of hands. They're picking up some transcripts, Mel. And how are you, Mel? Thank you for stopping in. So they're used to that. So they're expecting it. As a matter of fact, they probably want to see all that. Hey, Adrian, how are you? But the judge has handcuffed them. She's taken away a lot of their ability. And by the way, my two biggest supporters, people who've been with me since day one, have now shown up because I got my 2 thumbs down that I get every show. Guarantee it's the same 2 people, and I want to thank them. Thank them for all their support and being here every time and giving me those thumbs down. I appreciate it. But if they say something in court that's off color, try and get this in, which they are going to, prosecution has the evidence will be presented in court or a guilty plea will be made. Right. Now, there's a huge difference. I think the time for a plea deal has passed. It hasn't technically, but I think that everything that's gone on, I think that the judge and the prosecutor aren't even going to offer a deal. The defense can try and ask them for one, but I don't think, because the prosecutor would have to offer it. Richard Allen would have to accept it, and then the judge would have to approve it. And they usually include the families in that decision making, which they should. And I hope they do if it gets to that, because these poor families have been through enough shit. That's why I hope they have this trial in October, but I just can't see it, guys, especially now. I can't see it. They're going to try some kind of stall tactics. They still have 2 up their sleeve that they can use. After that, they're stuck. The judge in the state's ready to go. I don't believe the defense team is. As a matter of fact, I'm positive they're not. They have to change their whole strategy now, because if they roll in there and want to try and get a nexus with the same bullshit that they've been trying, and if they sway one syllable off of that memo, she's going to shut it down. She's not going to have it. You had your shot. They got no Franks hearing. They should have stuck with their bond hearing way back in the beginning, and maybe they would know a little bit more about what the state plans to do. Now, they have the discovery. They have all the evidence. I don't care how many terabytes it is. They've gone through it, or somebody that's working with them has helped them and gone through it, and they're looking for everything. They don't have anything. They're stuck. Now they've got Keegan Kline and Ron Logan. That's it. That's all they got. And we all know how that's going to end up. Now, here's the thing. Even if they try that, they're still not getting Richard Allen off the hook. That's not happening. What up, Sleuth? You had a good show today. That's not happening. Now, if they don't offer him a plea deal, he's got to change his plea to guilty. And there's a difference. They don't have to make any concessions if he changes his plea to guilty. Now, here's what is going to be relevant in this case is Richard Allen's time in prison. Okay, that's the only thing that they can worry about and that they can try and help him with. Everything they do, everything they've done, in my eyes, has set this up for the appellate courts for appeals. Now, he can plead guilty and he can still use the post-conviction relief. Okay, he can still get that. The Supreme Court told him that he could not say that he had poor representation. That's not going to happen. But part of that post-conviction relief in Indiana is if there was evidence that should have been allowed in that was not. So this right here, her ruling constitutes that if they're slick about it, if they know how to, you have to be articulate when you file for those. But I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll try anything that they can to get this back in court. Bottom line, the defense did not show evidence that directly ties the third-party suspects to the crime, hence the caveat she added. Yeah, agreed, Mel, 100%. And like I said, if they sway, if they say, well, we have some new evidence, they want to depose a few of those guys again and try and slip them up. But I guarantee you they're going to be lawyered up and they're not going to slip up. They're going to read what they said last time and they're going to be prepared for them. So it's not going to work. They're not going to be able to bring that back in. But even here's the thing. Richard Allen's bridge guy, right? There's no way around that. He's bridge guy. His bullet was found at the scene. He put himself there. Witnesses put himself there. Video has him driving his car there. None of these other people can be placed anywhere around that area during the time of the crime. So he's screwed, right? Then you tack on his confessions, over 100 or so statements, and they're concluding that 61 of those are direct confessions. Now, this is not him saying, yeah, I did it. No, this is him saying things that tie him to the crime scene or to something that the killer would only know. Position of things at the crime scene, what have you. Now, they still have his car. Why do they still have his car? The whole DNA thing. They haven't let loose with any of that. Now, I think it was Liggett that said that, was it Liggett? I'm not sure, but it said that, they do have DNA and they were getting a rush put on it and all that. Yeah, him and every other case in the world were getting a rush put on their DNA. And thanks again, Gail. I saw that you put a few more, you gifted a few more memberships and you were awesome. I appreciate that. Welcome to the new members. Um, it's a fun channel. We have a good time. I have great chat. I have great mods. I try to do some good content and I try and keep it real. Now, as far as the jury's concerned, Nick's going to present this evidence as best that he can. Hey, there's Mira. What's going on? As best as he can. Now, how theatrical he's going to be, who knows? Who knows? He's never dealt with anything like this before. These two attorneys on the defense side, it's already very evident that they're well versed in this stuff. They know their shit. They know what they're doing. But keep in mind that they collectively have lost over 85% of their cases, and they consider a plea deal a win. So out of that 15% that they consider that they won, most of those were plea deals. So they have nothing to lose. Richard Allen has a lot to lose. Now, let's talk about when he goes to prison, because it's going to happen. One of the concessions that they could make is they could put him at a facility where they have permanent protective custody, where he'll be with other people who are in a similar situation that he's in, and he won't have a problem. Now, you can't just go, we called it checking in Florida. Now, keep in mind, too, that it's been for 40 some odd years since I worked in corrections in the prison system. But protective custody, you can't just go there. What's up, Mark? What's up, Lala? You can't go there and just say, hey, I want protective custody. Doesn't work that way. I believe the evidence against RA is like an iceberg. We are not aware of the colossal evidence that lies below the waterline. 100%. The state has been smart. They've been keeping it close to the vest. But when he gets to prison, he can't just go there and say, hey, I'm checking in. First of all, they're going to send him to a classification camp first, and they're going to classify him. But guess what? This guy's a violent felon now. He can go to the same facility and be on the compound where violent felons, murderers, rapists, they have their own structure. And they really don't care for these people that fuck with kids and rape women and stuff like that. They don't care for them. They have their own society with their own morals and own hierarchy and stuff like that. So him going on the compound, I can't see it. Can't see it happening. But in order for him to claim that he's needs protective custody, he has to say why. He has to say, well, this inmate and that inmate threatened me, or somebody beat me in my cell, or something like that. Now, they call those special reviews. They'll put him in protective custody, and classification and the investigator for the prison will decide for how long. Now, that person that he has to give up the name, that's called a special review. And I'm talking about Florida. I'm sure that all state prisons have similar, they may call it something different. That's a special review. So anywhere he goes, that'll follow him. It'll also follow Richard Allen. So they can't be at the same camps together. If they can prove that it's a legitimate thing, they'll put him in protective custody for a couple months and they'll move that inmate. But once it gets to a point where he's just naming inmate after inmate after inmate, and all these special reviews have to be filed, well, then guess what? They'll just put him on ADSEG. Bamison, how are you? Thank you for coming in. They'll put him on ADSEG, administrative segregation, which means, listen, we can't put this guy in the compound anywhere. It's a problem. And we don't need to deal with it. They don't want him to get killed in prison, that's for sure. So they'll put him on ADSEG, and I've seen inmates that stayed on ADSEG or CM, close management. Close management is for the troublemakers. ADSEG is for the people that they can't really do anything with because there's issues on the compound. So I've seen people on CM and ADSEG that had been there for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And good luck getting out. Once you get into ADSEG, good luck getting out, because you got to jump through hoops. You have to prove that you're no longer in fear for your life. I've seen inmates that get out of protective custody because they're going crazy in there. They don't like being alone. They can't have the same type of freedoms that they do in the compound. And they get out and they get their ass beat and they go right back into protective custody. Would a plea deal only be possible if there are other bad actors? No, they can make a plea deal. It'll save them money, Adrian. Save them a lot of money for this trial, and it'll save the family some grief. That's the only reason they would do it. But we may be too far along in the game. Richard Allen would have to step up and say, hey, listen, what's up, Miss Bojangles? He would have to say, listen, I've been telling my attorneys that I wanted to change my plea, and they keep talking me out of it. So, I want to change my plea, or I want a deal. They may show him some mercy and give him a plea deal and make some concessions. Oh, let me do the quick commercial here. This stream is also brought to you by Ashley Schaefer BMW, Shelby County's #1 used luxury car dealer, 6 years running. And he's going to do it for another more 6 years. And you know what? Just in the time it told me to say that, he just sold another car. Ashley, thanks for coming in, dude. I appreciate it. You are hilarious, my friend. So when he gets to prison, he's not going to have a good time. Now, there's not anybody, I don't care what side you're on, if he is guilty, there's nobody that wants him to go have a good time in prison. It's not going to happen. So he's not going to have a good time. So he's going to be checked in on AdSeg for the rest of his miserable existence. And I can't think of a better way for him to end his life. Is living out the rest of his years in a solitary confinement. Daily Survivor, welcome aboard. You got gifted a membership. Brandon is right. They're only going to be pulling up to court with the speakers booming. It wasn't me by Shaggy. Yeah, they don't have much to go on, at all. They can't refute any of this evidence. They're going to say the bullet's junk evidence. They're going to parade in experts one after another until the judge has had enough of it. They're going to say that picture of him on the bridge, the video, is not him. They're going to try everything. And again, during cross-examination, they're going to let slip about the other actors, about the Odinists, about the possibility of this, the possibility of that, after the judge told them no. Don, how are you, sir? And it'll get objected to, and then it'll be stricken, but the jury's still going to hear it. So that's what's going to happen. And they're slick. These attorneys are slick. They know what they're doing. They're setting him up for an appeal. They're getting all this shit on record so that he can get an appeal. And whether he pleads out or not, he can get a deal. And by pleads out, I mean changes his plea. I will be shocked if they offer him a plea deal this far along in the game. I don't know what the family's thoughts are on that, but they pulled enough bullshit and involved enough assholes in this thing that they're probably not going to even entertain that. So now his confessions are allowed in. The third-party defense with the illness and all that is not going to be allowed unless there's a nexus for any third-party involvement in this stuff. So they're going to try Ron Logan. I mean, he's a dead guy, so it's not hard. He can't refute anything. And they're going to try Keegan Kline, who's the biggest liar this side of the Klondike. So they're going to get nowhere with that. So if he doesn't change his plea to guilty, he's not too smart. And the only way he would get a plea deal in my eyes if he throws himself on the mercy of the court, saying, I've been telling everybody that I want to change my plea. Everybody that I've confessed to, I've told them that I'm guilty. So I obviously want to change my plea. But my family and my attorneys talked me out of it. That's the only hope he has. At any time, he could have stood up in any one of these hearings and without even telling his attorney, saying that he wants to change his plea. So, what's up, BGOG? But he has not. So he's going along with his attorneys, doing what they tell him, and trying to, hey, Joan, and trying to ride this thing out. Now, could they get one jury member and get a hung jury? Yeah. Are they going to get a not guilty? Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. You can bet your bottom dollar that's not going to happen. So they're fucked. They basically got a double whammy out of this, but it's legit. The judge is absolutely right. The confession should be allowed in. This third-party defense without any nexus should not be allowed in. All they were going to try and do is confuse the jury and muddy the waters and make it hard to see through what's right and what's wrong. That's their job. That's what they do. They argue for a living. Are you allowed to say bridge guy is Richard Allen? I'm tired of initials. Yes, Richard Allen is bridge guy. Yeah, I usually don't use the initials. I say what I want, do what I want. You think you guys all know that by now. I'm not very polished. But yeah, you're right, SP. He doesn't need to be theatrical, just methodical. Exactly. But how he presents exhibits is going to be important because the defense is definitely going to use sleight of hand, theatrics, everything they can. And they try and lead the witness at every turn. They'll end every sentence with correct. So you went there that day to look for this, correct? And how do you answer that? And the judge will force them to answer yes or no. The witnesses will try and explain themselves. Excuse me. But the judge isn't going to allow much of that because the attorneys are going to get pissed off, whoever's doing the cross-examination. Now, during a cross-examination, you can lead the witness. During direct, you cannot. So we're going to get to see Nick's talent in that to get these people slipped up. But already in these hearings where there was witnesses up there, he's done a pretty good job. So I think he's fine with that. So I hope, I can't remember how much it was, $8,000, the podium. I hope that podium's fantastic. I hope they televise this if it goes. I can't see it. The defense team is already working on something to stall this, to get this pushed out. The more time they put between Richard Allen and this crime, the better chances they have of witnesses forgetting and all of that. So that's what their plan is. I guarantee it. Mustang 1965, how are you? So they're going to try and push this out, put some more time between it, and they have to come up with something different now. How they can do that and sleep at night, I don't know, because we all read that memo. We've all listened to them talk. We've all heard what their plan is, and now they can't do that. So what do they switch to? What do they switch to? Now they have to refute evidence, and good luck with that. I don't care how theatrical, sleight of hand, smoke and mirrors you are. The state's got enough evidence, and we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg on it. They have enough evidence to nail this guy up. Gail Hurd, Ruckus, do you think new information from Judge Gull will trigger the defense to file another trial day? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Beverly Lambert, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. I know it's been a busy day. You guys have probably made the rounds like I have. I've been watching everybody. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like I said, it's like the rivalry to me. Hate to use sports, but I'm a Red Sox fan. I hate the Yankees. I don't hate any of the players. I don't hate the ball boy. I don't hate the owners. I don't hate the scouts. It's just a rivalry. It's the Yankees against the Red Sox. Well, to me, that's what this is. I don't have anything against these other creators. I really don't care. The ones that are talking about me, you really have nothing to talk about if you're talking about me. I'm a nobody. Let's see, Shane. Plea deal, so the family don't have the stress of a trial, but I think the families might actually want one. Maybe. I have never spoken to anybody in the family except for Kelsey. I met her in person to give her some rosaries from Kirsty, Crime to Sleep. She was at work at the Dairy Queen. I got a chance to meet her, but we didn't talk about anything or anything like that. I was just basically UPS delivering things. Well, a plea deal could be sentencing as well, Adrian. If they do, if he throws himself at their mercy and say, "Listen, I've wanted to do this all along. My attorneys haven't taken my wishes and run with them. They're doing what's better for them, not better for me." Yada yada yada. He'd have to use some verbiage like that. But he's got these charges that can run either consecutive or concurrent. So they can do something with that. They can give him a date for parole. They can adjust whether or not he gets gain time. Super Sleuthy, how are you? All kinds of things. He's not going to get to pick the prison where he's at. He'd do his best while he's at the classification prison to convince them that he does not need to be around other convicted violent felons. He's not going to fare well there. Mummy Wolverine, how are you? And you have to keep in mind, too, that the staff that works at these high max prisons with all these violent felons out on the compound, they're a different breed as well. They don't put up with any shit. Now, if you're in prison and you break the rules, you get locked up. You go to confinement. You have a disciplinary report. You'll have like a little hearing. And they could lock you up for 30 days, take away your commissary, take away your visitation privileges, blah, blah, blah. Most of these guys, especially the violent felons, they'd be like, "I'm locked up already. Who gives a fuck? Lock me up. What are you going to do?" Well, what happens is they soon after that, they lose their hustle, whatever they're doing to make money. They get tired of being locked up in the cell by themselves. They want to be out there with their buddies. And so they mind their business, they behave, and they get reformed for a bit. They don't want to be back in confinement again. Confinement does suck. Is it going to make you psychotic? Not no, but fuck no. Anybody that's claiming that he made these confessions because he had psychosis, I don't believe it. I've worked in those facilities. I worked at Union Correctional Institute, which was the worst prison in the state of Florida at the time. It was a violent felon facility, and those guys don't give a fuck. Now he's going to have to learn sign language because you don't want the guards to know what you're up to. So these people would learn their own sign language. I can sign a few words and I can catch a lot of words. Catching means you can read sign language. Throwing means you can sign the sign language. So I'd be able to sign language at them down the hall, get their attention with my voice, and then sign language, you're all punks, or something like that. Or shut the fuck up, and they'd be like, oh shit, he knows sign language. Ruckus, I thought Ron and Keegan were not allowed to be mentioned. They have to show a nexus. Ron can be mentioned because the girls were found on his property. So that can slide in. Keegan Klein was speaking to the girls, and if Anthony Schott's account gets mentioned, they'll be able to slide Keegan Klein in there. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But Richard Allen's not going to have a good go of it in prison. Nobody's going to take care of him. He's not going to be able to have any protection. Maybe he can join the Odinists gang while he's in prison. Wouldn't that be ironic? But he's going to prison. There's no doubt about it. The only thing they have to do now is keep him alive until he can get to trial or until he can plead. But he's screwed. He's fucked. The ruling today that the judge put out just basically handcuffed the defense. They do not have any other way to go except for do their job at refuting evidence. They can't point the finger at anybody else and still get their client off. That's not going to happen. So they're going to have to refute evidence. They're going to have to focus on that. I hope that they've been doing that behind the scenes, because it's not only the state that can withhold information and keep it close to the vest. The defense team also does that. Oh, thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. The defense team can also do that. And if they're keeping I doubt they have an ace up their sleeve. I don't think they have anything spectacular outside of like a delivery. Jesus Christ. The podium was $72,000. I mean, that thing better give you a foot rub while you're up there. That's crazy. That's a lot. Yes, the stall is on. The stall is definitely on. 63 clocks. Thank you so much. $10 super chat. You're awesome. I appreciate that very much. Very much. That helps a lot. And let's see here. Money is how they can sleep. Defense attorneys are getting so much free publicity. Well, not only that, Joe. Defense attorneys, whether they win or lose, they get paid. They get paid whether they win or lose. This isn't civil. I'm talking about defense attorneys. They get paid the same no matter what. So anything they can do for their popularity, and I don't think this is going to gain them any clients, but it will get them on the talk show circuit. It will get them book deals, movie deals. They'll probably make a movie about this case. But like Evansdale, it took so long to get to closure on it that's what they're going to focus on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But to any other people that are thinking that, well, they're all set now, they can use that Odinist theory. Forget it. I think RA was paid to kidnap them from a group of people. That why they weren't ratted. The rest of them is probably because he thinks they will unalive his family. He's not a lone wolf. Nobody's going to kill his family, Shelley. But we'll see. And that's my opinion. You could be right. But I don't think anybody has anything wrong with his family. Nobody's hating on his family. There's been some people that say maybe the wife knew. But who knows? She's never going to admit to it, just like the cops are not going to admit to lying to the judge to get a search warrant. It's just shit that's not going to happen. The defense is not going to do certain things. This whole country is built around this judicial system, which, while not perfect, it's the best one in the world. Yeah, he's done a bad job. You know, when Baldwin walked out after he quit, okay, he wasn't kicked off, he quit. He walked by and said, journalists need to do your job. Well, no journalist stepped up. Some YouTubers did, but I didn't see any journalists that stepped up and supported him in what he was doing. So I'm not at all surprised that this is ending the way it is. Hey, Robin, how are you? That it's come down to this. Now it's going to see who's the best trial attorney. Period. Um, I'm really curious to see what more evidence. I have a pretty good idea, but no one from felon to correction officer will save him. No, they won't, Joe. You're absolutely right. I don't care how many cartons of cigarettes he buys. He's not going to be he's not going to be happy at all. Gail, thank you for more memberships. That's awesome, and welcome to the people who got gifted it. Bojangles, my stalker, she had to get it right. 63 clocks. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate it. I missed that first time around. I wasn't down far enough in the chat. Yeah, Jinx. For fuck's sake, no more Odinists. Yeah, I didn't even know who the fuck Odinists were. I thought it was one of the shit from DC Comics or something, you know. Father John Gagnon, prolific pre-sexual offender in Massachusetts, was placed in one of those places with other sexual offenders. They still got him jailhouse justice. Yes, Joan. Now he's from Saugus, I believe. I actually know a guy who was one of his victims, to be honest with you. Let's see. I was looking at that a minute ago. Those aren't cheap, but also believe they're at wiring costs. Oh, sure. CJK. There is probably a union job. Nana 63, $50 super sticker. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Wow, that's way above and beyond. Thank you so much, Nana 73. All this is a big help. Yeah, Audrey, if I have any say in this, it will be. I'm getting ready to head out that way. I may be moving soon, so I had to put it off, and I had that pancreatitis a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, that whole lone wolf thing, Adrian, that's going to be interesting how they approach that. They don't have, I don't think that the state has any nexus on anybody else outside of Keegan Klein. So the thought of this freaks getting hot prison meals, cold bologna sandwich at room temp, iced tea, library, weight room, walking trail, mattress, fresh bed linens, fresh t-shirt, pants, shampoo, and and more. Some of the prisons have music rooms with instruments in them and shit like that. They all find Jesus. I know where Jesus is. He's in jail and he's in prison. That's just so they can get out of the pod and get out of the dorm to get out and interact with other inmates. You should hear the shit they talk when they come back from church or religious meetings and stuff. The shit they talk about these people who are kind enough to volunteer their time. They talk shit about them, about their looks, about how stupid they are. Very, very few people get honestly religious in prisons. They use it to their advantage. They'll use religion to get better meals until it's pork chop day. Then all of a sudden they're not Muslim anymore, and they're trading their trays for food. But Richard Allen's going to have a tough go of it. He'll probably try and get in protective custody as fast as he can. But he's going to be convicted as a violent felon, or he's going to plead and be a violent felon and a sexual offender. He's going to have to register the rest of his life. If he ever gets out, I can't see it. I can't see it. Even if they run them all concurrent, I can't see him surviving prison, either by getting killed or dying of something, old age, what have you. CJK says, Boston, I believe prison should be tough. When you are convicted of a crime, your rights are minimal, punishment, black and white stripes, ankle chains, no TV or weight room. Most don't rehabilitate. No, not only don't they rehabilitate, they become better criminals. I've heard the conversations. I've seen what these assholes do. Hather's Mirror, thank you so much. $1.49 super sticker. You guys are awesome. It's very generous of you guys. I appreciate it. But they don't get rehabilitated. That's, the state has to provide care, custody, and control. And I'm here to tell you that they don't care. The only reason they have custody, because there'll be 4,000 inmates on a compound, and at any one time, there's 30, 40 correctional officers working. They could take over that compound any way they want. The only control they have is those fuckers do not want the National Guard coming in and shooting their fuck ass, because that's what's going to happen. But they, SC, how are you? Thanks for your perspective throughout this process. What if Kathy knew and covered for him? Well, then she's fucked too. They'll get her as well. And they should, if she knew and covered for him. But she's going to have to admit to that. Or they're going to have a recording where she slips up and says that. Prison Island is better than social housing, PlayStation 5s, cable TV. I think they should be breaking rocks all day. Agreed. Now, not everybody in prison is bad. Violent felons, for the most part, are. But I had a decent relationship with those guys as well. I was a minor inconvenience to them. Minor inconvenience. They're worried about other inmates, other convicts. They're not worried about what the staff is doing. Why did they only charge him with felony kidnapping first and then say there are more players? Don't know, Jelly, but they fixed that. They changed that so it lined up better with the probable cause affidavit, which, by the way, is not weak. If the probable cause affidavit was weak, he would not still be sitting where he's at. And every attorney that wants to poke their nose in this has probably looked at it and thought about it and thought better of it. Lee and Susan Trainer, how are you? I don't know. I'm not going to be moving far from here. We own property across the street. We're going to be building a home, but we don't know how long that's going to take. So we may have to rent someplace for a while that's being done. Don't they charge prisoners daily? I'm in Lee County, Florida, and I thought they did. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Even in the county. If you get sentenced to 366 days, you go to a prison, which is better because you get gain time there. And just day for day if you behave yourself. In the county, you get gain time if you're a trustee, if you work for it. But yeah, they charge them. So whoever puts money in your commissary, that comes off the top first. But I can't see anybody putting money on Rick Allen's commissary. Can't see it happening. And he won't be able to get it anyways if he's in certain custody. Now, and going back to that as well, he's already been in prison, so he knows what the experience is like. Now, where he was kept at, his status changed, but his cells didn't change. When he got off the Q15, the suicide watch, they didn't change him to a different cell. He stayed in the same cell. His status just changed. Jesus live at church building only. Just ask the Pharisees. Yes, exactly. Standing in a garage does not make you a Christian at all. I mean, Jesus. Standing in a church does not make you a Christian any more than standing in a garage makes you a car. Now they find the Lord. Shouldn't have found him before the fact. Agreed. 100%. Hey, Anna. Rehabilitation is unlikely when people are incarcerated for years with little to do and study better ways to commit crimes. Yep, some of them do. They'll get their degrees. And there's a lot of guys that know law better than half of these attorneys do that have been in prison for 20, 30 years. And they'll help the inmates out. Their fellow inmates, they'll charge them commissary or whatever, have their families deposit money in their commissary and the such. So, and when you have a long time to sit there and look at your own case, Richard Allen should be assisting in his defense right now. He should be screaming at his defense attorneys, I didn't do it because we haven't heard any of that. We haven't heard any of that. Yeah, Boston Christian, it's ridiculous. And most of Florida is going to privatize prisons and jails. So they have pizza night. They have all kinds of shit. They just want to get their money from the state and get about their business. They're not trying to rehabilitate anybody. Programs are a crock of shit. They don't work. They never have worked, but it provides jobs for civilians, so I'm all for it. If you're willing to go into a prison every day and try and teach these guys a trade or whatever, good on you. But they really don't give a shit. Don't give a shit at all. Livy, I asked that earlier. I'll say she might have been, when Young Guy sketch came out, she probably changed her mind deep down. Yeah, we'll see. I hope there's a trial. I can't see it happening. Yeah, Lee, you're right. You're right. I've carried his shit too. He was just here yesterday, actually. He came and visited for a little bit. We did some work on an exhibit that he's doing. Periwinkle, how are you? And we talked about some cases and all. Clever. Alt name, what's going on, my friend? So it's nice having Steve. He lives about an hour away. We went out to lunch on the water. He's never had lunch on the water before, so I took him down by the water. It's only like 10 minutes from my house. And we had lunch and we enjoyed our conversation and made some more plans, talked about when I'm going to, yeah, R&M may send money to his commissary. Good point. Talked about when I'm going to be going to Evansdale and what that's going to entail. We talked about the many cases that Steve's working on and the few that I'm working on. Chopper Harris, what's going on, my friend? Swings and roundabouts to you and Shane. But I've got some other cases coming up. I'm going to get Evansdale, and then I'm going to get back on the Curtis Huff. So I'll be working those two cases. But again, building a home and all that stuff may put a damper on it. But Steve's not making me look good because he's keeping two properties afloat, buying property. Boston Christian, women will be writing how much they love him and how long they long for him to dump money in his account, send him beautiful cards with beautiful, kind words. Yes. And there's inmates that have some drawing skills, and they'll do envelopes with Mickey Mouse on them, or flowers, or all kinds of stuff, and they sell those to other inmates. It's crazy. But that's all I really had. I didn't want to do this for too long. It's almost been an hour. Get in the chopper, right, Sleuth? I just want to put my 2 cents out there. The only thing to me that's relevant right now is what's going to happen to him in prison, because that's where he's going. And he's not going to have any choice about his accommodations unless he can get some concessions with some kind of plea deal. And like I said, he is going to have to really beg for that. Yeah, they'll try whatever appeals they can. Don Spain, super sticker, $20. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. But we'll see what they try. Right now, they're going to stall. They're going to stall. No doubt in my mind, they're going to stall. They're going to try and put this trial out. We'll see what happens. I don't think the judge can stop it. But we'll see what happens. They've got 2 more that they can use, and I'm sure they will use them. But in the meantime, guys, do not take any wooden nickels. I'll see you all tonight. I'll be live with Marv, Frank, and Kristen. And I don't know if anybody else is joining in, but it'd be good to see you guys tonight. That should be an interesting discussion. And I'll be on camera, so you guys get to see my marvelous, gorgeous face. But other than that, like I said, don't take any wooden nickels. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Peace out.